Thank you. All right, let me get this set up properly. Give me a second. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. And I'm moving your beautiful faces over there so that I can see you, those of you who have your video on or have a picture of you there. All right. Great. I see there's something in the chat. Let me quickly take a look. Oh, this is the link to the poll question. Okay. Do we have the answers?
Give me just 1 second.
I was curious where everybody came out. So there was a typo. It should have said, do you think DevOps needs Agile? But I'm sure everybody was able to figure that one out pretty quick.
So far, we have 71% as yes, 14 as no, and 71% as yes, 14% as no, and 14% as sometimes.
Okay. Oh, that's really interesting. I'd be interested to hear. I know that poll stays open for a while, so I'd like to get the results by the time you finish. Close the poll.
You will have you are tagged in it, so you will get them.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. All right. Well, thanks everyone for being here. It's really an honor to be invited back to speak to this wonderful group. I just started as a contractor Agile coach at Spotify, which is really interesting, and I'm enjoying that a lot. I've been in the Agile space for about 8 years, and before that I was in the training field. I actually got into Agile because I had to put together several courses on Scrum and being a product owner and Agile and things like that, and got so fascinated with it that I switched careers and got into being a Scrum Master and coaching eventually, and really love it and really passionate about it. And I've been speaking about Agile too for a while now, and my thoughts continue to evolve. So those of you who may have heard my prior talks might hear some familiar ideas. There'll also probably be some new ideas here, and I encourage you to ask questions and engage as much as you like. I think you have access to the slide deck. Is that right, Mindy? Yeah, she just put it in the chat. So you're welcome to go through that and ask questions about anything you see there. So tonight what I'm going to do is start by describing some of the problems with Agile, and I'll say a little bit about how Agile 2 deals with those problems. And then I'll talk about DevOps and its relationship to agility in a general sense. And then lastly, I'll go over the Agile 2 values and principles and talk a little bit about how they're related to some core DevOps ideas, leaving time for questions at the end. Okay, so I went by that pretty quick. Problems with Agile. Yes, I am very passionate about Agile and I love it. And yes, there are problems with it. And that's how I got involved with Agile 2, is to fix those problems. One of them is that, people think that Agile is Scrum, and Scrum is all there is to Agile. And Scrum is generally understood to be a process, right? It's not a philosophy. It has clear roles and responsibilities and duties for each role. And people will say to me, I need you to show me how to do the Agile process. Or, Lisa, can you just teach us how Agile and Scrum works and leave out the theory? And this kind of misses the point, right? I mean, a lot of people know about Agile. They don't really understand what it is. And I think that's partly because there's not a clear definition within the Agile community about exactly what it is. Now, this here is a funny picture from an article that Chris Lennon wrote for Medium in July in the top there. And Ron Jeffries has put out a lot of material about Scrum and criticizing Scrum. And there's a link to some of his material on the topic. So I am not alone in making this observation. I am far from the last person or the first person and not the last person to have some of these critiques. And, one of the most common complaints I hear from everyone really is if they're on a Scrum team or they work with Scrum teams, is that there are too many meetings and that they don't have enough time to get their work done. And this is an especially acute problem for product managers and anyone who needs to attend ceremonies for multiple teams. Now, in fairness, many meetings come from other parts of the organization. They're not part of the Scrum ceremonies. But when you add in all the organizational demands with stakeholders and other types of informational meetings and so forth on top of all the Scrum ceremonies, from the perspective of someone on a team trying to get work done, it can feel like you have to spend a lot of your time in meetings. And regularly scheduled meetings, especially ones that the team members find pointless and really dread going to, these interrupt flow. And people can't really attend to intense, thoughtful work until they get back into a state of flow. And that takes a while, right? So frequent meetings can be really disruptive. And Agile 2 generally suggests fewer and better meetings, and only when they're needed.